There, I think maybe we'll go ahead and start. So I guess welcome to the all department, transportation department meeting. We have one of these every 6 years, okay? So I'm going to ask Kristen to put it on your calendars for 2031. You guys ready for that one? How many of you were here? It was at the library, upstairs in the library, the very last one, right? All right, so the people in the middle, and so I'm going to just say that's about a third of you, and then that means that 2/3 of you might be kind of new, maybe. So welcome if you are new. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history, what we got done today, but Mayor Sacha's here. And Mayor Sacha, do you want to say anything, or you just want to say hello to everyone?
I want to say hello to everybody.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, it's great to see you all. It's nice to all be in one place. I don't have a lot to say. It feels really sort of formal with you all sitting in chairs like this. I hope you had a chance to get bagels and coffee and everything and get comfortable. Mostly I just want to say thank you. It's been, and I think about, I was walking over here and I was thinking, wow, if it's really been 6 years, there's a lot of things that have happened in transportation in 6 years. And so normally when some departments do these every year. And so then I can only talk about stuff that happened in the last year, but just cast your mind back and think about all of the things that changed over the course of 6 years. Some of it was not great, right? We had a global pandemic, which upended basically all of our lives in the way that we do business in the city. But some of it's been really amazing. We have a fully functioning bus rapid transit system in Madison, which is amazing, and I know was an incredible amount of work for many of you. Not just, obviously, the folks in Metro who led the charge, but I know it took a lot of folks in TE and folks that aren't in the room in engineering and IT and HR, and so it's a really big accomplishment. And we have developed and implemented a complete Green Streets program. Right? We developed and implemented a transportation demand management program, and we moved all of parking enforcement. Also, sorry, I know that was really hard, and maybe we should have done a little change management on the front end, but I think we're settled in a little bit now, and I'm really grateful for the patience and the leadership that it took to do that. So yeah, a lot of really good work. So thank you for doing all of that. And thank you for, I think there's some jobs in the city that people see, right? Like, people see firefighters. Everybody loves firefighters, right? Because you see them out there, they got the big flashy lights, they're saving lives, it's great work. And don't get me wrong, I love firefighters too. But there's other jobs in the city that people don't see. And I think a lot of the jobs in transportation are jobs that people don't see on the day-to-day basis. And yet, they feel the impact of your work every day. I went to a middle school classroom last week, and I started out by asking them, what does the city do? What do you know about the city? What do you know about the job of a mayor? They had nothing. Like, literally, they had nothing. They're like, oh yeah, they teach us about the higher up government in social studies, but they don't teach us about city government, which that's a whole other thing. But then I started asking them, okay, well, what's the first thing that you do in the morning, right? You get up, you brush your teeth, where does the water come from, right? You flush the toilet, where does that go? You step out your front door, what are you walking on, right? Maybe you drive to school, maybe you take a bus to school, right? That's all the city. And that's true of everybody who lives in Madison and people who come and commute to Madison. They're all impacted by what you all do every day. And if you all didn't do such a great job, their lives wouldn't be as good. We wouldn't have as high a quality of life as we do here in Madison. And so I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of the people who will never know who you are, right? Will never know your names, will never see your faces, but every day feel the impact of the good work you do. So thank you for doing that. I also want to say, and we'll have multiple chances to say this over the next couple of months, but as you know, Tom Lynch is leaving us without, explicitly against my preferences. Tried to talk him out of it, but I just want to say a public thank you, Tom, for your leadership and the work that you've done. You took, frankly, a position that didn't really exist, had been dormant for a really long time, and you transformed not just your position, but the whole department into this, and into all of the incredible work that we've done, certainly over the last 6 years and a little bit longer than that. So thank you, appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a great morning together and talking about what's going on in the department. Take care, everyone. I want to do this. Can we do this? I know I can't get all of you, but maybe we'll do two. All right, one on that side, and then, oh, get the corner there. One on that side. All right, yay, thank you.
Good. Yeah, it's 12 weeks if anyone's counting. I know one person that's counting. All right, so I'm kind of a history buff, and I kind of think about decades and what happens during decades, right? And so I'm going to go back like last 70 years and what were the big things that happened in Madison. And so if we go back to the 1950s, we had that John Nolan Drive and the John Nolan Causeway. I mean, holy smokes, we full on build a road right through the middle of a lake, right? That doesn't happen very much. Or the 1950s also was right when the Madison Beltline was being constructed. It was approved by the State Transportation Commission in 1949. Think about it, a different way of getting from east to west, or if you live on the west side, I guess from west to east. Because we were doing so much with parking, 1960s was really, we really leaned into parking, and we built 4 parking garages. It was like, in fact, if you talk to Stu Leviton, which is kind of like our honorary city historian, he says everything about the 1960s was about parking. And how did we get it? In fact, when I came to my desk, there was a postcard on my desk from the 1960s bragging that Madison had 10,000 parking spaces downtown, so shopping was easy. Late 1960s was also when the bus company was purchased. And so the bus company was privately held. It was a privately held company, and due to some fare things and then also a union strike, they were on the verge of bankruptcy. So the city felt like they needed to keep that vital service. And so at the end of the 1960s, they purchased the bus company. 1970s, the State Street Mall became a pedestrian transit mall. So that's already 50 years ago. Does it seem that long ago? 50 years. It's been mostly for pedestrians. I'm skipping the 1980s because I really don't know what happened in the 1980s. But in the 1990s, the South Beltline, so that whole area by Broadway, Broadway, basically the Beltline was built over a marsh. There's probably about 2 miles of bridge over that marsh there. 1990s was also the Monona Terrace. Any of you here in Madison when that was being constructed? Yeah. You could buy those little blocks or whatever that had your family names or whatever, and we bought one for my family, and I had my 3 kids' names put on there. But unfortunately, I have 4 kids now. And so, so I've been tempted to go up there with a Sharpie and just add the 4th one. And then also the Capital City Trail. We just take that for granted, but that was kind of the early 2000s, right? Early 2000s, kind of cool. Also the transfer points. In 1998, the environmental assessment for changing the bus network. Everything went downtown to the square, and then you transferred there. And back in 1998, the environmental assessment to change our bus system to these transfer points, which allowed us to kind of reach some of the city that was farther out, occurred. So then it kind of makes you wonder, well, what will the 2020s be known for, And when I look at all the stuff that has happened, there's a lot to choose from, right? The State Street Campus Garage. This is, I don't know if any of you have gone by there, but essentially I think it's 14 months, it went from being torn down to basically the city's portion being completed. 14 months, that's 500 parking spaces, right? It won't be open until the middle of 26, but still, just pretty amazing. Wilson Street Garage, another 700 spaces, I think, and that was opened right at the beginning of COVID. And that right over there is where I got hit while I was on my bike. The Livingston Garage, right across from Breeze Stevens. That's a thing. So here the 1960s was all about garages and the 4 garages, and we've already done 3/4 of what they did in the 1960s, and that's just half of what parking's done. That's just half of what parking's done. They integrated the parking enforcement officers. So basically, you take a whole division that's inside the police department, 30 to 50 people, somewhere in there, and you just say, you're going to be part of a new department. We're going to move you. We're going to establish new protocols. In fact, we got a lot of, let's hear it for the PE. We are glad you're in the transportation family. It's great that you're with us. Updated technology, now you don't have to carry quarters. You can use a credit card to pay for street parking. Then we did complete green streets. I'm going to say that we have one of the more complicated complete green streets in the nation, but it's one of the best. I think it's provided a lot of guidance to our policymakers. And this aerial picture, you can see how we've kind of changed the orientation from moving just cars to moving all the modes. This is another illustration. I think this is Whitney Way. Is this Whitney Way? Yeah. It's a beautiful fall day. And we didn't even move the curbs right here. We just said that this street is going to be more than about moving cars, 4 lanes of cars from the south to the university. This one is complete green streets on Wilson Street. And I remember the first 3 to 4 months I was here, I started the Wilson Street study. But unfortunately, I caused a lot of controversy. And so I basically had to pass the torch to Renee and Gretchen. And they carried this thing across the finish line because I obviously was not able to do that. I think Jim Wolf had a big part in that too. But it's a nice facility, You can be on a bike and you're protected from the traffic. We also kind of changed the orientation of the transportation department. I think for some decades, a lot of it was to reduce congestion, to reduce motor vehicle delay. And I'm going to say over the past, 7 years or so, the focus has changed to reducing injuries and fatalities. The traffic engineering in combination with the Transportation Commission, they developed the Safe Streets Madison program, which is really an organized way of allocating improvements that slow down traffic and make our roads safer. Before, if you had a voice that was loud enough, you could get a speed bump on your street. But if you didn't have a voice that was loud enough, or you didn't even know how to talk to city government, you didn't get anything. Well, now, there's an organized way where it's based on injuries, the diversity of the neighborhood, the effectiveness of the improvement. And there are still 500 things on this list. But it's a more systematic way of allocating our improvements. 20 is plenty. Jeremy? There you are. All right. A lot of people are not liking these signs in their front yard. But everyone likes slower speeds on their neighborhood. In fact, I was just saying the other day that I think the people on my street finally realize that I'm the DOT director. And so I've all of a sudden, like in the last 4 months, I've been getting all these requests from my neighbors. And I'm saying, well, 12 weeks, right? Here's an email you can. I I just threw this in. Do you guys remember this? Yeah, you know, that was within the 7 years. That was just so crazy, wasn't it? So some of you are looking with a puzzled look. So basically, our lake levels rose, and so a lot of our streets were underwater, including the Capital City Path, and that required a lot of adaptation. Engineering was great on that, but traffic engineering. I remember having to get out and direct traffic over by Johnson and First Street. I thought, what am I doing this? Integration of crossing guards. Just like the PEOs, where we took a full-on division outside of the MPD, we did the same thing with crossing guards. You know, crossing guards, and put them in the transportation. And I'm going to just say that there are no employees more loved in this city than our crossing guards. So we're glad that you're with transportation as well. Ingersoll improvements. So this facility was housing over 200 buses, and it was built for 150 buses. And for basically 30 years, there was like almost no improvements. In fact, it was just a wish. How do we make everything fit? And through the change of administration and federal funding and the like, all of a sudden, we were able to improve it. $40 million worth of improvements. New break room, better bus repair facilities, just a thing. And like, here's an example of it. And I don't know what those three tanks are. Do any of you know what those three tanks are? All right, that's our bus wash system. I just got the picture. But you know, think about how tired something looks after 30 years of nothing. And that's really what the Ingersoll facility was, 30 years of no improvements, and all of a sudden it's over, I'm going to say 3.5 phases, kind of phase 1, 2, 3A, 3B, it's gotten improved. Hanson Road Satellite Facility. When I came, we were not able to serve communities, any more service, because we had no room for the buses. And so we kept on looking for ways to get a satellite facility. I remember looking through Tiger grants that we applied so that we could build a site on Nakusa Road. In fact, is Scott Korth here? No, he helped with those Tiger grants, and it was just a dream. It was like it was never going to happen. And lo and behold, it's happened, right? FedEx was selling their facility. We moved quickly. We were able to change the environmental document. And now we have a facility that houses 63 electric buses. You know, a lot of this was with federal money. And because of that, we can expand our service to Verona and Monona, right? And fast fare cards. Is Mick here? Is he? Yeah. You know, it's great to have a new system. It's just great to have a new system. And then it's going to be even greater when we can use our credit cards in April, right? The bus rapid transit. You know, this is, like as the mayor was saying, it's a landmark infrastructure improvement. In fact, Dave Cheslevich, who is a former mayor, two back, I guess, calls this a more substantial improvement than even the Monona Terrace, because the Monona Terrace kind of benefits just a certain set of people that come downtown. But the BRT benefits all of Madison. It brings everyone, you know, to their jobs. It provides service weekends and nights. It's great. And yeah, anyhow, they're great. So I went through the slideshow that I gave. Actually, it was in May of 2019, saying these were all the things that we were hoping to do. And then I just thought, well, how many of them did we do? And we did most of them. We did most of them. And we did a whole bunch of other things too on top of that. Transportation demand management, transit-oriented July, transfer PEOs, Lake Street garage replacement, Vision Zero, crossing guard program. And all this occurred during the pandemic. Kind of hard to believe. Do you guys remember going through the Alliant Energy Center? Yeah, you know. I miss those swabs up my nose. Or maybe not. So this fall, I started writing thank you notes to some of the people that had helped all of us do this, all these things. And I thought, all right, I got myself like 10 thank you cards or 15 thank you cards. Well, I full on ended up writing close to 100 thank you notes because so many people helped. So many people helped. And you think about it, it's just the Department of Transportation people that got all this done. But it's not. All these divisions did so much. Like engineering, I see some engineering people here. Economic development, you think, well, what does economic development have to do with BRT or whatever? Well, they purchased the right-of-way, right? They provided the TIF funding so that we had financing for this. Planning, all of these, just a significant amount of help from our sister agencies. Significant. It's not none of it could have been done unless we worked as a city team. An agency couldn't have done this. We needed everyone. So over the next couple of slides, I think our division leads, Stephanie and Yang and Justin are going to talk about some of what they did, but then also give some shout outs to some of our sister agencies. So we'll start with traffic engineering.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yan Tao. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the director of the traffic engineering division. I agree with the mayor and Tom that the last few years has been challenging but exciting. So here at the traffic engineering, all of us really go above and beyond, and we have delivered 8 major services to the public in a high-quality fashion. Pedestrian bicycle services, including crossing guard program, as Tom mentioned, fiber communication, paver markings, planning and data support, radio communications, signing, street lighting, and traffic signals. So, major services, thanks to all of you. On top of all those things, we also were able to move a few major initiatives forward for the city. Back in 2020, the mayor and the Common Council tasked us with the Vision Zero initiative, which is a strategy aimed at eliminating traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, and equitable mobility for all road users. So it's different from what we do traditionally in a few ways. Vision Zero think traffic deaths are preventable. We need to integrate human failures in our approach. And we need to focus on preventing fatal and severe injuries instead of preventing fender benders. And we believe in a system approach. Also, we believe, saving lives don't have always be, very expensive, redo everything. Also, as Tom mentioned, we also worked with the Transportation Commission and developed a new infrastructure program, Safe Streets Madison, as an implementation arm for Vision Zero and to prioritize our safety improvement projects in a more equitable way and also with a more focus on safety. It has become very popular in our community, and right now we have over 600 requests on the list. We have been making significant progress on safety in our city. We improved and made our public engagement process more equitable. We funded 180 Safe Streets projects, and we reduced the speed limit on over 40 miles of major streets. And now we are rolling out a citywide 20s plenty program to reduce speed limit on all neighborhood streets. And we are implementing and also enhancing the complete Green Streets Guide. And we also secured over $10 million federal grants for safety improvements. And that's most importantly, all of us here really start to institutionalize a new design and operations philosophy for our transportation system. Another initiative I will highlight is the citywide streetlight LED conversion project. We took on this very ambitious project to convert all the 6,000 city-controlled streetlights from non-LED to LED to improve safety, conserve energy, and also improve equity. So far, we have made a lot of progress. Halfway through it, with dedication, from our electrical field operations crew. We also secured about $1.5 million federal grants to help with that project. As Tom mentioned, we cannot do this alone. And here I want to thank, DOT, Metro, Parking, our transportation family, for the collaboration on Complete Green Streets, Vision Zero, Bus Rapid Transit, and also employee development. And I want to thank folks at the City Engineering for the collaboration on bidding construction for Safe Streets projects. Thank you, Andy, and your team. For the collaboration on many reconstruction and resurfacing projects, making the streets safer and complete and green. And correlation on many of the permits in the right way. Yeah, Scott's team has been working with engineering a lot on those, making sure the public is safe. And I want to thank IT for their partnership on fiber communications. And thanks to many of you for going out to repair fiber, even it's 20 below outside, so appreciate that. Also on the collaboration on camera management, we now have a life cycle management program, and for support to our smart city projects. I want to thank many agencies, such as MPD, Public Health, and Fleet, for their collaboration working with us on Vision Zero. It's really a team city effort. And also on taking and institutionalize a safe system approach in the city. And I want to thank a planning division for working together on many of the area plans that's going on right now, and for tons and tons of development projects, as you can see, cranes everywhere in the city. And last but not least, I want to thank Finance and City Attorney's Office for help us in securing over $20 million federal grants in the last few years, for working through many contracts and agreements, and also for their assistance in helping us to advance some of the new initiatives, such as 20 Plenty. So we had a lot of hoops to jump through, and without them, that's not going to be possible. So looking ahead, we will keep deliver major services that we're providing to the public. We'll continue to advance Vision Zero in the coming years, and we'll navigate through many grant-funded projects, given all the challenges that's going on right now in the White House. And we have planned to complete our Jonathan Drive tunnel lighting upgrade, a major upgrade this year. Beyond those project initiatives, we also want to focus more on you. We will continue to our effort on workload management, on employee recruitment and development. And also, we want to do better communication with all of you and better documentation. So all of these are being documented in our 2025 work plan. We are finalizing that right now. I'm going to share that with everyone in the traffic engineering division very soon here. So with that, thank you. I'm turning over to Metro.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Justin Stuenberg, General Manager at Metro Transit, for those of you who don't know me. And I want to thank Tom, Yang, Stephanie, all of the DOT team, as well as all the other city departments for everything that's been done over the past many years. So Tom got fancy with the slide here and got us a little visual, but I cannot emphasize enough how incredible the amount of projects that have come through Metro have been over the last couple of years. In the last year alone, we basically launched 5 different major programs that any one of which would have been a very, very big deal. And the fact that we did them all at the same time is pretty unprecedented. I can speak from experience and having implemented a bus rapid transit in another city, that I think our project is significantly better and the process significantly less painful by having this coordination amongst all the DOT staff, amongst all the other city departments, and kind of everyone having the same vision and the same goals. And I think that really has resulted in a better project and one that went much more smoothly than I think many of us thought it would. So I think obviously a lot of that was Metro staff. We redesigned the network, the route network in summer of 2023. We launched the BRT in 2024, as well as the fast fare system and open Hanson Road. Again, any one of these would be a major, major accomplishment for several years, let alone all in 1 year, essentially. But that coordination that came from other DOT staff, other departments within the city was really crucial in doing this. So one that I think often flies under the radar, but I know is very obvious to parking staff, but the Brayton lot, parking lot that's just near the state government buildings. Dedicating that lot to our BRT project saved the city $12 million. We were able to count that lot as part of our local match towards the project, and actually resulted in us building the entirety of the bus rapid transit project for essentially what we had already budgeted just for bus replacements. And it came with a lot of buses too. And so this was a huge piece of our funding puzzle and was certainly a big deal to parking staff. Not only did it help on the front end, but it actually is generating a revenue stream for Metro on the back end. So we're going through economic development staff, working through an RFP right now to redevelop that site. And that site will spin off operating funding for Metro for decades. And that's a really big deal and to help us sustain that operation. And certainly parking was instrumental in getting that done. We also dedicated a site on Junction Road that was owned by engineering. I think it was leftover parcels from other projects that had happened in the past. We were able, again, using the value of that property, contribute that to the BRT, which was critical to our funding stack to getting the project done. But it also provides a very needed facility at the end of the line. So with our electric bus facilities, we need a charging capability. That gives us a place to do that charging off street. And it also gives us park and ride opportunities for riders that might live further west. And so I think it's, that partnership with engineering, beyond just the property, but in terms of the overall project implementation was crucial. Engineering also helped build our Hanson Road facility. So as Tom mentioned, we purchased this facility from FedEx. Really relieved a lot of overcrowding issues at our Ingersoll facility and enabled us to grow. So we couldn't, this was not a turnkey facility though, and required a lot of investment to build bus washes, build lifts for buses, things like that. Engineering helped dramatically in getting that done. And as Tom mentioned, our lack of this facility was limiting our service. But since this has opened, we have been able to start expanding service in some of our neighboring communities, including Monona, which starts in about a month. Verona will be getting all-day service starting in August, and I expect to see more and more of that. Just for all of the perspective on all of that, so 5 years ago, our total partnership revenue from other cities and UW and other things was about $4 million. This year it will be over 14. And so that is a really big sea change in the way that we're able to continue to grow regionally and provide that service. Traffic engineering IT, lots of help from traffic engineering on lots of things, but through the BRT construction, there was a lot of impacts to fiber, some of which we were able to improve, some of which were just straight up impacts. But traffic engineering was hugely helpful in navigating through all of that, as well as IT, to get that project done, and I think result in a better system on the back end of it, and not just trying to get through our construction. And signal priority, again, this is a place where in other cities, the transit agency tries to do it alone, and so they have their own signal priority system on top of whatever thing the city already has. Often doesn't work very well. There's a lot of conflicts and kind of disagreements. By having this coordination between Metro and traffic engineering, we were able to build a system that is cohesive, works together, eventually works at its full functionality. Again, I think that system overall will benefit from that coordination and that partnership. And then the economic development, I'm not sure if anyone's here, but so the BRT construction involved a lot of property acquisition, and that couldn't have been done without the help of economic development. Over 150 parcels, some of which for BRT stations, some of which for the shared use path on Merrill Point Road. But it was a huge impact and a huge need to the project. And it also, economic development also worked to dedicate TIF funding to the project as well, which again was critical in making the funding work for the project. And then traffic engineering, sorry that Tom, we didn't update the text here, but.
I was supposed to check. Staying on this slide is good to me.
But, the traffic enforcement and parking enforcement has been incredibly important in the operations of the bus rapid transit as well. Many of you may know that part of our agreement with WSDOT to be able to use the dedicated lanes on East Washington was to open up the parking lane in peak hours. But that requires enforcement. And so parking has been extremely helpful in getting that done, meeting our obligations to WSDOT so that we can keep that bus lane going and keep the buses moving quickly.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, good morning, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Stephanie Cox. I'm the director of the parking division. I'm going to start out by saying I have been in my role for about I'm going in my third year now, and I came from the police department, and I have been so amazed since moving out of the police department and coming into a different department, how much we all work together. I did not know a lot of this in the police department because we were not exposed to that. And to see what each agency, what each department does for us is, it's crazy. It is crazy how much work goes into every single thing we do and how everything we do impacts the other department. So thank you. Thank you to everybody. It's something that I'm really working with my team on to get them to see it as well. And I think that just as a whole across the city, we should really understand how what we do impacts everyone else and makes everyone else's job easier at times. So thank you. There we go. Okay. So as Tom mentioned earlier, one of the most significant things that has happened since the 60s were the building of 3 parking garages. That is no small task. Our garages are aging. We need to look at better ways to utilize those spaces. And so we've done a lot of mixed use projects, which I think we'll see more of. And that takes a lot of collaboration between a lot of different agencies. We also have some technology changes, anywhere from the meters to how you're paying for permits now to what's coming in our garages soon. It's constantly evolving because the goal is to make it user-friendly, get the frustration out so people just feel comfortable about paying. And then transportation demand management. This is something a lot of people probably don't really know what it is. So it is in the parking division, and it is a program where we help look at new developments, redevelopments, and help them figure out what do they actually need for parking? What do they need for getting their customers to the location or their employees, and kind of trying to reduce the number of parking lots built, if you will. So if you've ever, driven past the mall maybe, and it's like a land of, just concrete. So just trying to make it so we don't have so much of that throughout the city. This one is near and dear to my heart. It was moving the parking enforcement operations over. This is where I came from, for those of you that don't know. So this was a lot. This is a major transfer, and there was a lot involved, and we learned a lot. So if we ever have to do this again, I think we have a plan now. But we also realized how much was involved in this, and this really took the whole city coming together to help with it. So for the transfer, I just want to kind of show who was all involved. I mean, we have everything from engineering and facilities, economic development and real estate, trying to help us find a facility to store the parking enforcement operation. City IT, changing everything over, the attorney's office, human resources, finance, fleet. Fleet had to switch out all of our vehicles and put all new decals on them. So there was a lot involved there. The South Livingston and Wilson garages, that's economic development through and through, helping us find funding, getting TIF funding so it doesn't come out of taxpayer money, it doesn't come out of our revenue or our reserves. For those of you that don't know, parking is an enterprise agency, so we are fully self-funded. We do not get anything from the general fund. So we are always trying to make sure we are generating enough revenue that we can make these improvements. Engineering, finance, city IT, the attorney's office, and I left it out, I'm sorry, but TE is kind of in everything we do. So thank you, TE, from the permits needed to the signage on the street. They are a very close partner with us. Transportation demand management, this was a big one. So zoning and building inspection played a big role in developing the program. The attorney's office, IT, I have the attorney's office on there twice because they're so important. Human resources and finance. And then this one is one we are currently working through, and why it might not look like a big deal, it is a huge deal. We did a full division reorg. When I came in, I tried to learn everything and realize what was working and what wasn't working, and we have found the pinch points, and we're now trying to fix it. And the parking division had not had anything like this done for, I think, maybe ever, from what I could tell. The goal of making things more efficient, breaking down silos, opening communication, and just working as one big team versus all these different sections in the division. So human resources and org development were absolutely amazing. Finance, helping us figure out our budgets, and facilities and engineering, because now we have new positions and we need to figure out where to put people. So this is a really exciting thing. We're going to continue to kind of finalize and fill those positions this year, but we're getting there. We're going to be better. So what's ahead for us? Just so you guys know what we're working on, we're going to continue to analyze and improve our processes and systems, provide cross-training opportunities for our staff. I want staff to know what each other are doing, what each section is doing, to help them better understand how their work impacts others. Explore the feasibility of using CityWorks in enforcement operations. CityWorks and the parking side, we don't use it as much as we should, but it's something that we're really looking to push forward with and try to get all of our staff working in there. Develop a plan for cross-agency presentations. So I'm starting to work on bringing other agencies in, other sections of traffic engineering or Metro to come talk to our staff and explain what do they do? Like, what is their job? And it kind of helps take some of that frustration out when you come across something, you're like, why did they do this? Well, now you understand why they did it. So just getting everyone to have a better understanding of how the city operates as a whole. Curb management. Bye, Yang, have a safe flight. We are developing a curb management policy. This is something that many other cities across the U.S. have. We do not, but it's making sure that we're utilizing the curb space in a way that works for the needs of the community, not just parking, but what type of loading zones do we need? What type of ride share pickup zones do we need? It could be bicycle ways, it could be streeteries. There's so many other ways to use the curb space. So that's something we're starting to develop the policy this year and hopefully implement in a few years. We're also going to be providing budget presentations to all staff. I had this at MPD. They walked through with us exactly how they put budgets together, and they showed us, here's what everybody wants, and here's how much money we have, and how do we prioritize? So really getting staff to understand the budget process. We are upgrading our parks equipment, so that's our access and revenue equipment in the garages. So we're moving to license plate recognition. You can pay by tap. There's an app for it. There's an app for everything, just to make it more user-friendly and cut down on a lot of the paperwork and redundant processes that we currently have. And then we're also exploring options for new permitting software. We have permit programs. We have a lot of permit programs, but they don't interface with our other systems, so it makes enforcement's world a nightmare trying to figure out what a permit belongs to. So we'll be working on that. So we have a lot coming up in parking, a lot of changes, but a lot of improvements that I'm hoping everybody will see as beneficial. Let's see. That's you. Oh, and I just want to say one more quick thing before Tom starts. So we have 3 people leaving very soon. So I just want to give a big shout out to Tom Lynch, Renee Calloway, and David Wills. They have been so involved with leadership and been around for such a long time and have done so much, and we really appreciate the 3 of you, and it's kind of a big change for us in DOT, but I just want to say thank you to the 3 of you, and I'm jealous you're retiring and you get to go do whatever you want now, and I know my time is coming in a few years, I don't know, 10, 20 years, but so congratulations, you guys.
Great. So what's next? I think, Stephanie, Justin, and Yang will be talking with each division on your work plans. And Yang sent me his work plan last night, and it was like 120 rows. So I'm more of a picture kind of guy. Keep it simple, no more than 4 words. And so this is kind of I put things down in graphics. I kind of color code the divisions because I need visual cues. Who's doing that again? If we look at some of the major things for each division, Metro's going to be doing new service to Monona and expanded service to Verona, the fare collection. And then they were also continuing to work on North-South BRT. As Yang said, Vision Zero, Safe Streets for All, and Safe Streets Madison. You know, big initiatives. We have some federal money. We're hoping that we'll keep on that. Transportation Purple is transportation, kind of our staff, my staff. You know, Wisconsin, for as much as we've been doing, the Wisconsin DOT, I think, is doing just as much or maybe more. You know, they kind of ignored us for 2 or 3 decades, and then all of a sudden, North Stoughton Road, South Stoughton Road, and I-39, 90, 94. And so there's a bunch of agreements that are going to happen between the city and the Wisconsin DOT over the next year. As Stephanie said, implementing the reorg. Can I just kind of say that she has been super excited about this reorganization for about 12 months. And it's the same people. No, it's all going to be. So this is all really good. She got it done during the budget process. Maybe some of you might be wondering, well, what's happening? You know, it's every time you read the newspapers, it's like, holy smokes, what's going on? And the federal government is doing some strange things, and we don't know how that will really affect us. Dave Schmidtke gave a presentation to the Finance Committee last night, and if you're interested in that, you could look it up. For us, most of the federal funding has to do with capital projects, right? And so we won't be losing positions if we lose federal funding. We might lose our ability to do some capital projects, right? It's unclear how much will remain. We're hoping all of it, but you know, we have signed agreements, but it's just, these are kind of different times. But you shouldn't really necessarily be overly concerned about how it would affect you. I've been in this position for 7 years now, and for 4 years there's been just a lot of federal funding available for capital projects, but for 3 of those years there's just not that much federal funding, and we still, you know, produced services and had our lakes overflow and all that, you know, things. We will continue on no matter what happens with the federal government. But if, for instance, federal funding is pulled back, the department will just pivot to other areas. An example would be we have a great opportunity for Safe Streets for All as a federal grant. If some of that gets pulled back, well, that just becomes Safe Streets Madison, right? We focus the efforts on Safe Streets Madison. So we would like to continue with all this federal funding, but if it gets pulled back, I don't think you need to be concerned. You know, we will continue to serve the residents of Madison. DOT director. So the posting for my position closes February 17th. So if you haven't got your application in yet, there's 2 essay questions. You will have to write 2 essay questions. So it's not just push submit, but I think the interviews will be this spring. There'll be a screening process depending on how many apply, and it'd be nice if we could have a director in place by May or June. So my last day, I think, will be around April 28th-ish, but then I may come back in June for a week or 2 or something if we have a new director to show them where the bathroom is, where the best place to get a taco, that kind of thing, right? So that's that. I want to thank all of you, and I do notice, how many are here from a different, from a division that's outside the DOT? Could you just raise your hand? Okay, a couple. Thank you. I wanted to really shout out to all of you, because you guys, just amazing stuff, but it came with a lot of help from engineering, economic development, attorney's office. So I think that's good. I could take maybe 3 questions and then we'll be done. Any questions? Yes, Garfield.
So on the slide it says,
Yeah, intercity buses. So I'd I'd like to get that squared away before I leave. So we have agreements with the intercity bus companies that have expired, and they pay us a little bit for the use of the Dutch Mill lot, but then they will also pay us for the maintenance of the new intercity bus terminal that will be on Lake Street. Yeah, and that will be probably, that shift will occur probably in August of 26. And so we're hoping that those buses can make it through, right? So Stephanie and Jose are going to make sure that these buses can make it through that. And Justin, right? Yeah, I think we, technically an intercity bus can use any bus stop that we have in the city. That's by law. We want to make it attractive for them and for their customers, right? Like if there's bathrooms there, like I kind of like to have a bathroom, you know, and if it's heated, it's nice to sit in a place where it's heated. Interacting with the bus companies, most of them are pretty cooperative. I think Coach USA we probably have the best relationship with, and they probably provide the most service. And so I think it'll work. Yeah.
Question, are there plans for an interim director?
I don't think so. The mayor has asked if there needs to be one, and I actually like to think, yeah, people miss me. They feel like, but it actually might only be a month. Like if my last day is April 28th and the new director starts, let's say June 1st, and you know, I could be sick for a month, and I'm going to say most of you wouldn't notice. So, I think if it gets to be longer than that, then the mayor could appoint an interim director. So, yes. One more question? All right. Can I just say it's been a privilege to serve in this position. It's been, I was going to say it's been fun, but I'm not going to say it. There's been some, you know, a lot of battles about State Street, but it's been a privilege to be able to see what you guys did. You guys did something, multiple things really significant. You should feel really proud of yourselves for what has occurred over the last 7 years. So. Thank you all. Bye.